So nobody's using PDFs anywhere online? You can unmute and talk to me too.
We're all talking about it here, Julie.
You're just muted.
We forgot that we were still muted. Most of us use it, or I shouldn't say most of us, a lot of people use them, and we struggle with the writability portion. We don't have installed the professional Adobe Acrobat, so we can't highlight and circle it and do all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the kids to answer a PDF and turn it back into us is not working. So we got to figure out some way.
Well, so actually there is a number of different ways. There's a number of different ways that we can do this. And I think, so the question about the iPad is you should be able to annotate on a PDF with the iPad, with the Google app on the iPad. I know on the mobile, but I haven't tried it on an iPad. I've tried it on my mobile phone and that works, but we'll have to test that out on an iPad and see if that works. So today, our big assignment and what we're going to do is we're going to really work through looking at Google Classroom and how we can share a PDF, because really that is probably one of the more frustrating things that we can do, is try to share a PDF. So much of our classwork is in PDF form already, and you know, in the classroom it's no big deal, but when we try to do it online, especially with distance learning, it is really challenging. I'm glad you guys noted the frustrations with, you know, like how it comes back jumbled when they submit their work, if they've turned it in, if they've converted it into a doc, it comes back jumbled. And so if you go to the Setup Google Classroom on your classwork, you all have an assignment of using PDFs in an online environment. And so I did not give you a due date on this because you're all good. And so what we're going to do is spend some time looking through using Google Classroom for PDFs with their online options and considerations. And so my favorite way to modify and make a PDF editable is to use it as an image on the background of a Google slide. And then the students can either add their own text boxes, or you can add text boxes. And so that is one way. So we're going to I'm going to give you the big picture, and then we're going to go through a little bit in nitty gritty. So I'm just going to give you a big picture. So one way is the PDF. Using Google Slides, the PDF is an image on the back of the Google slide. Another way is to open your PDF in Google Docs. It sounds like your students are doing that, and I gave you a sample, or if you have your own PDF, you can test it out. I would say maybe like 1% of the time this is like okay, and so it's a very disappointing option, truly. And so but that is an option, and that may be something where you as a teacher may want to convert a PDF into a Google Doc, make the edits to make it look decent again, and then now you have a Google Doc that you can share out. I mean, so that may be a consideration. So it might save you a few steps, or it might not. And really, you guys, even if like I have full Adobe, which is life-changing and it makes me happy, but when I'm trying to convert a PDF to a Word doc or PowerPoint, it's not perfect. It really isn't. And so you end up having to do edits. You end up with weird, you know, like line spacing and things like that. And so PDFs are not really meant to be turned into something editable. That's their whole point is that you can't edit it. And it's all great when we have a pen and a paper, but it's not great when we're online. Moving on down, Jamboard is one of the tools in the Google Suite, and that is, I mean, it's very collaborative, but it also has the ability to, you can use a highlighter, you can use a pen, you can type. So you have a bunch of different options. So we're going to dive in and look at some Jamboard resources and see how you think about that. Then we're going to keep on rolling. There is a Chrome extension called Cami that allows you to actually edit a PDF. The free version, I mean, the paid version obviously interacts really well with Google Classroom, but the paid version or the free version also works. And I think with instructions, your students will be fine. But this would be something where you would need to make sure that students have the extension, and that would be something that would have to be pushed out with any other extensions that you have. Um, Another thing, and this is more labor intensive, in the sense that you're changing a worksheet or a PDF into something that is more interactive. However, I do encourage you to look at your assignments and think about how you can do that. And then I have a sample of a kind of a quick way that I've done it just on the fly, because we've had a lot of things move online this spring that are traditionally done face to face. And so I can show you a couple examples of that I've used. And then finally, we have Go Formative. And Go Formative is an online resource, and there's a free version and a paid version, obviously. And what you can do is you can upload a PDF to it and then add your questions that way. One of the things with Go Formative, the free version, you're limited to 20 uploads a month. But I've seen, I've had one of my coworkers used it extensively with her students and did not, I mean, she's like, I never hit my 20 uploads a month, so she never paid for it. So that's kind of the options that we're going to roll through today, is how to translate a PDF into something that is useful for you and your students. All right, are you guys excited? You're so quiet. I feel like I'm talking. I had to record myself this morning, and I'm like, oh, this is just like talking to Winner. Except you guys chat me periodically. So I like that.
They all said, yes, I'm excited. Maybe not that loudly, but they did all say yes.
Under their breath, little whisper. Awesome. All right. So let's hang out with using a PDF, sharing a PDF using Google Slides. So I wrote out the step-by-step, very super simple, but I also gave you Slides Mania has step-by-step and some additional thoughts, and then there are 2 videos if you need more support on how to do it. And so we'll walk through this, but then I'm going to give you a little bit of time to turn a PDF worksheet into an editable Google slide. And so what we're going to do is open Google Slides, and so I will walk through this. You'll have time to do this on your own, so I'll run through this. If you can follow along, great, but don't feel like you have to, because you have the instructions here, and I'll give you a little bit of time. So I'm going to go to my waffle, and I'm going to open, I want to grab my Google Slides. So I'm going to capture slides. And I am just going to make a blank slide. And so the next thing I want to do is I am going to change the size of my slide. And that's something that I can do really easily. And So if I go to File, Page Setup, it comes up with widescreen and you see, you know, these other options, but then there's custom, and that's where you can type in your 8.5 by 11 to make it the size of a piece of paper. So I'm going to say apply. So now this slide deck is changed to demo worksheet. This slide deck has now been changed to a page size paper. I'm going to go ahead and delete these boxes. Now I have a blank slide. So now I need to find a PDF worksheet, and lucky for you, I have PDF worksheets and they're all geometry. Because what else would you do other than geometry? I mean, really.
Woohoo!
Exactly, I knew it. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to open up my worksheet. And here we have my worksheet. So at this point, I'm going to want to turn my worksheet into an image. And so just to make it easier on me, I'm going to make it so I can see the page and so I can see my whole page. In the chat, really fast, tell me, how can I quickly turn this into an image? We did it yesterday. It was life-changing for some of you. Ooh, Ross, yes, the snipping tool. Does anybody remember the other way we can do it? All right, I'll tell you. It's the Windows key plus the Shift plus the S, and you get a really quick little you get another version of the snipping tool. So I'm going to do that. So I'm doing my Windows key, my Shift, and my S, and you'll see that it pops up here. And I am going to do a rectangular snip, and I'm going to grab this whole worksheet. So here I go. All right. Now it saved it to my clipboard. I can click on that. I can't talk. And then I can save it. And so I'm going to save it. And I'm going to put it in my downloads. I'm going to call it whatever my geometry worksheet name is. So I would want to name it so that I can find it again. And then now I'm going to go back over to my Google. Oh, yeah. We can do that. Sounds good. So Linda asked if we can go back to the setting up the custom slides, so the size. So I will pop back over to the Google Slides. How to set that up is File, Page Setup, and then you have to do Custom, and then you can set the page to any size that you want. I want it to be a worksheet, and so I'm making it 8.5 by 11. I'm going to say Apply, and here we go. Now I'm going to go back to my PDF. And I want to grab a quick screenshot of that. And so we can either use the Control Shift or the Windows key Shift S, or we can use the snipping tool, which is also on our computers. So if I click on New for the snipping tool, here I'm going to grab a snip of my PDF. And so now I've got a picture of my PDF, and I can File, Save As, and then in my downloads, I'm going to say Geometry Chapter 13, version 2, because I've got the same one twice now. Okay. So once we've done that, now I'm going to jump back over to my slides. So we're back in our slides. And at this point, if you right click on your slides, you have the option to change your background. So if I were to bring my image in on top, and so I'll show you, I'll insert the image, I'm gonna upload it from my computer. Here it is. It pulls it in. Oh, there it is. I can resize it, all that. That's awesome. But when I share this out, the students can move it around and it can be really a struggle, especially for your younger learners and even your older learners, because you're going to have this image always be in the way. And so what you can do is we can take this image, we can right click on move our image over, right click on our slide, oh my word. And then we have that ability to change our background. And here we can choose an image. And so this is where I'm going to go back to my computer, back to my downloads. I'm going to grab my image. It's going to upload and boom. So I'm going to delete the image that I just dropped on there. And now you're going to see I can't do anything to this. This is so awesome. And so now I actually have a worksheet that I can edit. And so this is where, depending on how much scaffolding you're going to do for your students, you can tell your students to go ahead and, insert text boxes and answer the questions. Or you can insert text boxes and say, answer here, or whatever. And then a lot of people will color them, will shade them in a little bit so that they are easier for the learner to see where the answers go. And then they can copy and paste that, and you can copy and paste that all the way down, and you're good. So this is now, we've turned a PDF into something that the students can go in and annotate and edit all they want. And because this is on the slide, so everything on top, they will be able to write on. Because the image is the background, they can't do anything to it. I mean, obviously they could right click and change the background, but I mean, then they don't have their worksheet anymore and they aren't able to turn it in. But you always have revision history, so you can go back and fix that. So, questions about that process? Does copy and paste work? Mark, I don't really understand your question about copy and paste. Do you want to enlighten me a little bit? Do you mean, can you unmute and talk?
Well, I just copied the thing that I snipped and then pasted it directly into the slide.
And then were you able to set it as the background?
I was not.
Okay. That is where you run into a challenge of the background, trying to do it as, because like I can copy and paste the snip in, yes. And so like I can copy this and I can paste it in, no biggie. But to set it as the background is where you end up needing to, when I want to change the background, I can choose an image and I only have so many options. And so this is really where I would probably go through and I would make, I would take my worksheets and make a whole bunch of snips. And then I would have that file of images, and then I would come over to Google and I would start making my worksheets that way. I wouldn't do this. I would do a lot of snips, save them all, in a file, and then I would come back over and upload them one at a time. So unfortunately, no, you can't paste it in. You can't paste it in. And you also can't right click. I think if you are in, I can't think of the word right now. I think if you're in PowerPoint, you might be able to right click on an image and make it the background. I'm not sure on that. But in Google Slides, you just have to right click, change background, choose image, and there you go. So thanks for asking that question. That's a great question. All right. Okay. So how do you save the new, what do you save the new PDF as? Well, this is a Google slide. And so this is now a Google slide. And so when you've made this, your PDF is essentially now a Google slide. And so that took care of your PDF problem. And then how do I highlight the box to show where it is? I click on the box, and then when you are looking at your toolbar, you see the fill color here. And I just did it a light gray, but yeah, you could change it yellow, or you could turn it into anything that you wanted it to be color-wise. All right, so you guys think you're ready to try this out yourselves?
They're saying, sure, sure, why not?
Oh, you guys are so good. All right. So what we'll do is you have the step-by-step instructions here. So you have your step-by-step instructions, and then it does tell you to turn a PDF worksheet into a Google slide, and then share it so that anyone with the link can comment, and paste that link, paste the link to your slides onto the class comments for this assignment, just so that we can all kind of see what you've turned into a worksheet. And you know something, it doesn't have to be perfect for this iteration. I mean, really, just make sure you can get the image there, add a couple text boxes, think about how you want to use it. Don't feel like it needs to be something perfect. If you guys are already experts at doing this, I would start doing some more PDFs and just doing some turning lots of slides into PDFs. So I will give you guys about 10 minutes to turn it into a PDF. I will be here the whole time. So if you have any questions, unmute, drop them in the chat, and we'll get it all figured out. Oh, I think I'm, let's see. All right, so I am going to go into my class, go into my classwork, and I'm going to create a new assignment. And so this is going to be a model assignment using a slides for PDF, okay? And so I'm going to say type in some answers, and then turn in your work. So when I attach this file, so I'm going to add a file from my Google Drive. And here's my demo worksheet, and I'm going to insert it. So at this point, I have options. We have this fact that the student can view the file. And so if I did that, they would just see the file. If they wanted to make any edits to it, they would have to make a copy of it. I can say students can edit file, but if they do that, everybody's going to be editing the same file. And so that's going to be a collaborative worksheet. If I say make a copy for each student, then each one of you is going to get a copy of this worksheet. And so I'm gonna ship it out. So here we go. I'm making a copy for each of you. So this is just going to show up at the top of your, I didn't give it anything. I didn't give it a topic or anything. So it'll ship out to you guys. And it'll show up at the very top of your page because I did not give it a topic. And so you can see how that works. So now I will actually switch to me as a student. So you guys can, and you guys are students too, so you can go to your classwork and actually see that assignment that I just dropped in there. And so what's going to happen is I'm going to, because I've assigned it through Google Classroom, I do not need to sharing so that they can comment or anything because it's been assigned through Google Classroom. So here I'm going to, as a student, click on my work. And there it is. And now I can type in my answers. Geometry people, what's the answer to this one?
She can't see it.
She should have her own copy. I am collaborating and using my resources here.
Just put IDK. We all understand that answer.
Okay. All right. So I've answered this question. I've done the work, quote unquote. And so now I can go back when I'm done with that and I can turn it in. And so from the student side, they end up with a document that does not, I mean, they don't have to do anything to. From the other than type in the answers. From the teacher side, you need to make a copy for each student unless this is a collaborative activity, and then you would have all the students be able to edit the same doc. Okay? All right, our time is up for this.
Julie,
yeah.
Julie, can students save copies of this if they want to when they're in a Google Doc like this? Or does it only live right here?
They can save copies of this. I mean, there's nothing to prevent them from saving a copy of it.
Okay, so if we have something that we don't want them to be able to keep a copy of, we don't want to do it necessarily this way, because they could copy it if they wanted to. They could save it as a copy.
Right. Right.
Okay. Thank you.
Because when I come in, I'm going to all unsubmit myself so that I can edit my document again. When I'm in my document, I have the capability to file, make a copy. I can download it if I want to. You know, I can do any number of things with this if I wanted to. I still have all those permissions, and that is one of the drawbacks with the Google slides or with the Google documents is while you do have some controls. When we're in Google Classroom, we don't really have those granular controls to say, you can't download, you can't, do this or that. So, and that it just is. So, great question. All right, so I'll turn myself back in. Yep. So basically all I did after I answered the question, so this is me as a student, I answered the questions and it was all I don't knows because my teammates won't help me. So I make my edits, I can close the file. Whenever I'm ready to turn it in, at that point I need to click on turn in. And so if I think I'm done with this work, I can click on turn in, and it's done. Anytime either you make a copy for each student, the work is going to show up under your work and it's going to say turned in. Anytime you tell the student to make a file or create a document, it will also, if they do it in their work area, it'll show up over here. But they can also add files. So if they have a file on their computer, they can upload it. If they have a file in Google Drive, they can add that. So they have a lot of options. All right. So I'm really curious. I'm going to go back to me as a teacher. And I'm really curious what's happened. Ooh, I've got 11 comments. That means that 11 of you have dropped in. Oh, look at this. This is so cool. Ah. Very cool. So we have a count and a color. So when I'm added as a co-teacher, do I have to change notifications that you do not receive all the work? When you are added as a co-teacher, and you're in like a special education, or you're just kind of a pop in, pop out, I would definitely change the notification so that you don't receive the notifications, because you don't need to know what's going on necessarily. This is so fun, you guys. So I encourage you guys, oops, this one needs to be shared. So we need to go back and share so that anybody with the link can view or comment. So I'll let you guys go back and check your links. And you guys do know, and this is one of the things I love about Google, when I'm sharing something and I click on share, and it says, restricted, whatever, I can click on that and I can change it. But the nice thing is the link doesn't change. And so the permissions change, but the link doesn't. And so if I've shared a link with you and then, it's like, oh, I can't access, you can change the sharing permissions. And so you don't have to run around changing sharing permissions for things, which makes life so much easier. You can change the permissions and you're good to go. All right, so I see I've got 11 people that have turned in I've got 11 people or so that have turned in their comments. That's exciting. Oh, it's up to 19 now. And then, yes, you can also, you don't have to turn in your assignment. And actually, if you turn in your assignment, you're not going to be able to edit your the rest of your document. And so you'll probably want to unsubmit it. And I modeled that over here a couple of times. You can just click on unsubmit and you get the document back and you can edit it. But like right now, if I want to go into the document, I can see it, but I'm view only because I've submitted this document. And so once I've submitted the document, it is view only until the teacher returns it to me or I unsubmit it. But if I unsubmit it, then obviously the teacher isn't going to grade it. So you have all that going on. All right, going back to me as a teacher and going back to Google Classroom. So we've done the sharing a PDF using Google Slides, and that really is one of the, it's a really great way to share a PDF. So now we're going to scroll on down to opening a PDF in Google Docs. This is probably one of the more disappointing activities we'll do today, I'm sorry. So I gave you a sample doc just because, I mean, if you have your own, feel free to test it out. But I gave you a sample one. Basically, if you're going to try this, I would use it on documents that do not have a lot of formatting, that are pretty simple. That means they don't have a lot of images. So it's really going to be more of a text document. You lost your whole slide. Oh no, Linda. It's there somewhere. And so when I have people test out their PDF, we'll have you go and we'll have you share your screen and we'll find it, okay? Okay, so here's the deal. I gave you a PDF, so feel free to use the PDF that I gave you. I don't know, I'm not there yet. It should be turned on for your district. If it's not turned on for your district, we'll talk to Cindy and we'll make sure it gets turned on for your district, and I'll just share one with you guys. So this is a PDF, pretty boring PDF. It is about Teams, so in case you want to know more about Teams. And when you click on Open with Google Docs, it will create a Google Docs file. And now we can see that, you know, it pulled stuff over, but it didn't bring, like, I have some sort of fancy formatting over here that it didn't really bring over. And so this is one of those things where you need to kind of make that decision. Is it worth it? Is it not worth it to do that? But I encourage you to test it out, because it is nice to be able to say, you know, I can open this with Google Docs and see what happens. When you do open it with Google Docs, it just drops it into your drive, and so it'll be loose in your drive. But you can move it around if you need to, put it somewhere. So I'll just give you a couple minutes to play around with doing a PDF. And see what that converting a PDF to a Google Doc, just because it's one of those things where it's nice to know that this is also why you get those garbled documents back from your students. And Linda, would you be willing to share your screen? We're going to move on to Jamboard. So Jamboard is part of the Google Suite. And I'm hoping that you guys have Jamboard. I did request that it get turned on, and so when you click on the waffle, and you scroll down, do you see Jamboard at all?
Our organization does not have it.
Turned on yet?
Correct.
Listen to my growth mindset. All right. So we'll send an email and make sure that you guys have Jamboard. In the interim, I'll show you Jamboard, and then I will share out some Jamboards with you so that you can play around with them, because Jamboards are super awesome. So what Jamboard is it essentially acts as a whiteboard that you can do interactive things with. And so when we're looking here, I can, on the left-hand side, I can use a pen, and the pen tool has a brush, a highlighter, a marker, or a pen, and I have the different colors. And so I can basically do anything that I want to with the pen tool. I have the eraser tool. If I just want to go back to select, I have the arrow. I have Post-it notes, and they come in different colors, and so I'm able to, you know, if I, as a teacher, I can say, you know, if you love this project, you know, if you love Jamboard, use a yellow sticky note. If you have questions about Jamboard, use a blue sticky note, and you know, you can provide those kinds of instructions. So I just click on the sticky note, I type a note, I click on save, and it drops it over there. One of the things to note with the sticky notes is they will layer on each other. So I'll make a blue one. Watch what happens. Oh, it didn't. Ugh, it makes me look like I'm not telling the truth. Maybe they've changed that. Last week, everything was just layering. And so people would be like, I lost my sticky note. And so if that's the case, you just need to, you can move them around. We can resize them. I can go in and edit it again. Anybody can go in and edit it. And so you have options. I can add an image. And so here again, we can go back out to my downloads and find that geometry worksheet because we love it. At least that was the impression that I got, was you guys were excited about geometry. I can make it bigger. And now I have a geometry worksheet on here that I can now draw on, you know, and so if I wanted to create a graph, I can do all of that. So I have those editing capabilities. And then I also have a laser. And so if I wanted to point to things, I can say, you know, look, here's how you draw on this. The other thing we have at the top of the screen is you have backgrounds. And so the default is blank, but you have dots, you have squares. So we have grid paper from Miles. We have a chalkboard background, and then we also have a blue background. So you, oh, and the writing paper background. So really fun backgrounds that you can pick from. I have seen this used for math. I've seen it used for English. I've seen it used for social studies. I've pretty much seen it used for everything. And so like I can say, highlight the verbs and go through and, you know, highlight all the verbs on the page. You know, I can provide those instructions. With a Jamboard, it is just like a, it's in my Google, it's in my Google Drive. And so when I create something, it will be shared out with all of you. And so because you guys don't have access and you can't create your own, I will share this with you guys so that you can create it. And I'm going to make a copy of it real quick so that we can, and I never remember how to make a copy. Copy is 3 dots in the upper right-hand corner. Because one thing that is not cool about the Jamboard is if you get too many people on it, and by too many, I mean approaching 45, 50, it gets a little wonky. And so normally I just say, you know, like middle school, high school, Jamboard 2, and you guys are good. So I will share these out. So we'll make the Jamboard assignment and you guys can, I'll make them collaborative so you guys can all edit together. And if you want to make more Jamboards on this one, you just click on the little arrow up here and you can make as many as you want, this little down arrow here. And so if you want to make your own page and try things out, do it. So let me go back to Google Classroom. And I will, oh, look at that, 31 comments. That's super exciting. I'm going to create the Jamboard assignment. I'm going to add Jamboards from my Google Drive. And so they're recent files. And so I can just grab them here. Remember, I can click on as many files as I want. I'm going to say insert. And then in the chat, real fast, tell me, I want you guys to edit this file. I want you to do it collaboratively. Yes, it is on, Jamboard is, on the iPads. It's anywhere that will be that you have the Google apps. Yeah, the Jamboard is not on for your district. I will send an email to Cindy to send it to your admin to get that turned on. Okay, so Cindy says students can edit. Yes, I want this to be a collaborative file. I want you all to edit it. So I'm going to say students can edit file for both of them. And the cool thing is, I mean, like, so say I mess up and I forget to say that students can edit, and you guys go like, hey, I can only view it. I can go in and I can edit the assignment and make it so you can edit it. So super easy to modify that stuff. So if you go back to your classwork, you're going to find at the top of the page that Jamboard assignment. And so now I will be able to watch you guys pop in to Jamboard. So just like I do in a regular Google Doc, I can see everybody that joins. And you guys can play around a little bit. So I'll just give you a couple minutes to get in there and play around. So you don't have access to, it says no access. All right, so see, I did something to it. Let's look. Yeah, it says you can copy, you can edit it. And I made it so you can't even look at it. It's very disappointing. Huh. That's not cool. I'm surprised you can't click on it because many of the districts that I've done this with, even though they haven't had it turned on, they've been able to use it.
We're all getting that same message.
Yeah, I believe you guys. I will ask Cindy, we'll make sure you guys get it turned on. We can revisit this. You guys can play with it tomorrow if it gets turned on. That is really weird because you should be able to edit it. I've shared it out to lots of people that don't have it. We've used it and then, you know, they've turned it on. So shoot. Okay. Not cool. So that's Jamboard, but Jamboard is going to give you another option for collaborating and editing. So Julie, you say you don't have access to, do you have access to YouTube or how do you share videos?
We have access. I know.
Okay.
I gotta get out of here.
Okay.
Am I still unmuted? Oh, we have, sorry.
You're unmuted. You're okay.
Okay.
You're good.
Faculty, staff has ability to access YouTube, students do not.
So if you share YouTube in Google Classroom, what happens?
Students can't view it.
Okay. So do you plan to share YouTube in Google Classroom?
Nope.
No?
Probably the way that we've used YouTube in the past, I would, in elementary, I apologize because I'm not elementary, but the teachers would pull up the YouTube, you would watch it on your smart board. And then that's how you shared a YouTube video with the students, but students did not have access to YouTube unless they were taking a dual credit course, a college level course.
So I guess I would probably revisit that, especially if we're going to have distance learning, simply because a lot of the videos that you're going to find will be on YouTube to be able to share. I mean, obviously, if you make your own videos, they can be shared off of Google Drive and you'll be good to go. But many of the supplemental resources are going to be on YouTube. So that may be something to think about as you're moving forward, just because of the change in everything. All right, well, I'm very bummed you guys don't have access to Jamboard. We will come back to this because I think Jamboard will be life-changing for all of you just because of all the cool things you can do with it. So the next option that I wanted to show with you guys is the Cami Chrome extension. And so when you click on that one, it's going to bring up a little video. But basically what it does is it allows you to annotate and mark up PDFs. And so when we're looking at it, if you have the paid version, you have a little bit more control. If you have the free version, and I gave you guys this article to kind of help you guide your way through it. If you have the free version, you have to have, you know, Google Classroom set up for both student and teacher, which you guys are. The students are assigned to a class under the correct teacher. You have the extension and app installed on both your own and your student's Chrome browser. And so that is going to be one of the things that if you decide to, you know, if you play around with this and decide you want it, you'll need to make sure that you can use the Google admin panel to deploy the extension out to your school domain. So when we do our assignments, and so you can create your assignment like we have been, and then as we go through and create that assignment, you can attach a PDF. And so they recommend doing the make a copy for each student, and so that's going to send out a copy of this PDF to every student. So from the student side, when they have the Cami extension installed, they're going to be able to open the file directly from the Google File Preview window. And so just like when we played around with the PDF and it said open in Google Docs, this will say, it'll give you the option to say open with Cami. They can then use the toolbar to make any annotations and complete the assigned tasks. And so they're able to go through and add anything that they need to. And then they need to save the file back to their drive. And so this will be in their Google Drive. Where we run into challenges is direct submission from Cami is restricted to the paid teacher license. And so when I want to go back and turn it in, they're going to have to attach that file, or they're going to have to turn it in from Classroom. And so the file is the file that we've been editing, but they have to turn it in from Classroom. Whereas it says here, you know, it gives you the kind of that like you can turn it in from Cami. You can't unless you have the paid one, but you've edited the file that was created for you in your classroom. So then once you go through and return it, you can do all of that work from within Classroom. And so everything that you've done, you have that back and forth editing. So Cami is definitely one of the resources that a lot of the schools have been looking at as they are trying to, you know, think about ways to push out Google and, you know, use that online learning. So that is an option for you guys, but it is going to have to be something that you would have to coordinate with your tech just to make sure that you have the app pushed out. So when we scroll on down on the instructions for today, Cami is, it's in its extension. If you click on this first one, you can see you can add it to Chrome if you want to add it to Chrome. So Linda, you have a great question about how young of students could use this. I really think, I mean, really, they're opening the file. is, you know, it looks very much like a Google file, or, you know, it's part, you don't really, you're not having to download and upload and convert or anything. You're just saying open with Cami. And so I think it could be something you could use with a fairly young grade level. It really just depends on what you're wanting them to do. And is there another tool that might be easier? I think for the really younger kids, I would use more Jamboard, just because it's so so friendly, even though you guys don't have access, and it's not very friendly to you guys. It is friendly when you get in. So I think you could use this with your early elementary, Linda, but I would probably not. I would try it out, you know, I mean, kind of see before you get too invested. I would think about some of the other options first. So questions about Cami. Do you want to take a few minutes and install the app and play around with it, or not?
We're kind of getting to know at this level.
Getting to know at this level? Okay, are you guys hanging in there?
They're definitely hanging in here, but there's a lot of information. So.
There's a lot of things we can do with PDFs, and I think that is the biggest challenge is you are dealing with a lot of different things. So the next thing that I'd like to touch on is converting a PDF to a Hyperdoc. And this is another one of my favorite activities, because this is really, you know, let's think about our resources and all the things that using an online tool gives us that we didn't have when we had paper. You know, so look how easy it is to share links. You know, if I assign you this document in Google Classroom, you guys all have the document, you all have the links, you can do everything. It's not like I'm having to say type this in. So you have a lot of flexibility. Hyperdocs are one of the resources. They are an interactive lesson plan, basically. And so we'll do a quick look at Hyperdocs, and then we'll look at how we can convert a worksheet to a Hyperdoc. So Hyperdocs were created by the Hyperdocs gals. Oops, oh, that's lovely. Sorry. Obviously, I tested everything but that link. Okay, I'll change it. Not sure what happened there. Okay, so Hyperdocs were created by what's known as the Hyperdoc gals. And so there are 3 teachers out of California, and essentially what they've done is they're using web tools in a way to create a lesson plan. And so they give you a lot of formats along with resources. And so when we're on their page, you can go in and get some templates, and they have some courses and some questions, et cetera, et cetera. As I'm scrolling down here, we have some different templates here. And you can go in and see some really great sample activities. And so she has some Hyperdocs for social studies, which is nice just because it's one of those things that we don't always see a lot of social studies examples. Oh my word. So this is one that is created in a document. This would be something that as I'm going through and looking at this, it gives me instruction, it gives me a quote, and it gives me what to do. And so one of my favorite activities is this example from an English teacher. And she did this back in 2015, which I'm like, wow, that's pretty cool. Because that was like before Hyperdocs were even really very known. They were pretty much just coming out. So she took a worksheet, and as you can see, it's a simple worksheet. You know, she has you do some highlighting, you read it, and then you have some questions. And these are blurry, so I just want you to know they are blurry worksheets. And so here we have essentially, you know, a worksheet. So when she goes through this, she talks about, you know, opening her PDF file as a Google Doc, which is great. But one of the things that they, you know, we know is it might get kind of wonky. So then she made a decision to turn a, you know, worksheet that's done independently with, you know, one student, everybody's doing the same thing, into a collaborative interactive document. And so she found 4 more articles that tied to the same subject and then did a jigsaw. So here she has a pre-reading question. And so her students say, you know, what kind of people are heroes? So we go in and we look at what, you know, people are the heroes. And each of these students over here answered that question. So this is something that is done before they do the reading. As I scroll on down, she found 5 different articles and asked the students so there's 4 students in this group. So they each need to pick an article, a different article. So there's some choice there. Then under the article, she made another table. As you notice, she uses tables a lot. Tables are a really great way to organize your discussions in an online format. And so the names would be across the top, and then she has them answer these questions. And so if I think about the questions that we saw on that worksheet, basically she's translated all these questions here, and now she has 4 students that have each read a different article answering questions about their article. Then the instructions tell them to go through and read each other's comments, and then they have to answer another question after reading the jigsaw from the article. And so here now we answer another question. And so when I look at this, I think about, not only have we turned a solitary assignment into something that's collaborative, this would be perfect no matter where we're at. If we are face-to-face in the classroom, or if we are, you know, we have part of our students at home and part of our students in the classroom, because it can be done partially asynchronously. You can say everybody needs to have everything done to this point. The jigsaw has to be done by, you know, Thursday before we have our live meeting. Or you can say, you know, everything has to be, you know, you could even say through step 6. And then you can get your groups together to have those discussions and say, well, you know, let's elaborate further about why you chose your hero. And so this can be something that is face-to-face, asynchronous, you have options. And so what I would really like you to do with this is to take a few minutes and think about your assignments and worksheets. And is there something that you could translate into a Hyperdoc or an activity, and it would go really well for you to do that? Because this is something that you can do with anything. It doesn't just have to be, you know, a worksheet per se. So I'll give you guys just a couple minutes to think about that. And ask me any questions. And so what I'd like for you to do with that is in the chat, share in the chat just some ideas that you have for converting an assignment you currently have into something that's more collaborative. Great question. What did she do? How did she change it into a Hyperdoc? So basically what she did is she took a document, a Google Doc, and inserted tables. And so she uses a lot of tables in her document to organize the work. And so hers is going to look like she has her directions, and then she has a table here. And then she has the jigsaw with a table with the information. And then she has the questions that they need to answer as another jigsaw. And so, or as another table. And so she's using a lot of tables to help organize in a Google Doc. And so that's what makes it a Hyperdoc. It's really just, it could be a Google Doc, it can be a Google slide, whatever you want it to be. Oh, Carolyn, yes. So Carolyn, you said this could be a class discussion over the basic comprehension questions of who, when, where, what exactly. And so you could have grouped students. You could say group 1, group 2, and everybody has their own slide. You could, or you could just assign different groups to a document. So who can access, who can type? Everybody can type into all the squares. And so here we have, I would have my names in there, or the students would put their names in, and they would need to collaborate on that. One of the things that I notice is this works well, but you do need to do a little bit of scaffolding early on just to make sure, you type in your squares. What happens if you type in somebody else's square? Well, what happens? How do you deal with that? So you do have to kind of talk about that if it comes up.
Julie, when are we doing Loom?
We will do that here in just a couple minutes. So let's finish our PDF
Okay.
stuff and then I'll run us in through Loom, okay?
Okay, I just want to, okay, thank you.
Yep, nope, sorry. Okay. So as we are kind of rolling on through, have I ever used Zamzar to convert PDF to Word documents? Yes, actually, I have used Zamzar. What I find with, I have the full PDF. I've tried Zamzar, I've done Google. Depending on the document, it is never going to be like great. It's always going to have some sort of wonkiness to it, whether your formatting is off or your graphics don't line up anymore. And so that whole conversion process is really it really is frustrating. If you're doing a straight Word document and there's really no formatting and no images, however you convert it is going to be mostly okay. But when you start throwing like that geometry worksheet, when I convert that, it's just a mess. So totally, totally a mess. So Hyperdocs. So I want to quick show you a couple of other things that I've done with slides and making collaborative. And so this is a PDF. This is something that in a face-to-face workshop, I would have teachers answer these questions. They would they would answer these questions. Um, and so in the online workshop, obviously we don't have the same functionality. So how do you make that work? So what we've done is we said, you know, here is our planning. And so I put people in rooms together. So people were together in a room and they have their name and their lesson. And then they answered their questions for you know, and they were doing different lessons. Ideally, I would have people that would be doing the same lesson in a room to be able to collaborate on that. And so all I did was I took the questions from my PDF over here, and I dropped them in a table in a Google slide to enable my participants to be able to collaborate and also interact with this much easier than, I mean, they can interact with this because it's a PDF document. So just different options there as you're thinking about how to increase that collaboration. Um, so, all right. So our next thing we're going to do is, so the last thing, and this Go Formative is one of the things that I haven't used a ton, but one of my colleagues has used quite a bit. And so Go Formative gives you the options to, you can create a free teacher account. We can go in and they do have a great tutorial video. Some of the things that I've found really useful is they have a library. And so you can actually go in and see what other people have input into Go Formative to look at that. And so the people that will really enjoy Go Formative are people who are using like the math up, you know, middle school, high school math, where you have really complex worksheets, science, you know, any of those types of things where it's hard to translate over. Go Formative may be really useful. If you are looking at some of your, you know, elementary, like early, you know, K3, K2, those are probably not going to be as useful just because they aren't as useful for that. So just so you know, kind of as you're going through and thinking about how to use that. All right, so now let us run into Loom, which is just, one of my favorite tools because it is really easy to use and it's very, very friendly. So pop in. So Loom is a online recording, and you have a couple of different things that you can do with Loom. We can either add it to our Chrome, and so I have this as a Chrome add-on on my computer. Yay! Whoops, I was denied access. Oh, my camera. It's because I'm using my camera, so it's challenging while I'm using my camera. Sorry. And so I can record directly from my browser, which I really, really love having that capability. And so it's super for screencasting. What kind of videos are you guys thinking about making? Go ahead and drop that in the chat or unmute. I'm just curious, what kind of videos are you thinking about making? Reading a story to kids. So one of the things that I would probably do actually is, have you guys used Flipgrid at all? Simple cooking video. Oh, fun. And so actually, Kelly, fun and how are you, do you want to elaborate a little bit in terms of, are you going to be recording screencasting? So are you going to be capturing content on your screen? Are you going to be using it for like showing in your kitchen? You know, here's the stove, here's the refrigerator, you know, that type of thing. Do you want to answer that one, Kelly, for me? Sorry.
So do you see the little girl in the middle? So automatically your picture shows up and then anything that's on your screen shows up. So you could have that Jamboard up and use it as a white screen, and then you could record that and share it and the kids can watch it. Loom is free. You can do
We can
30
hear you,
videos,
Cindy.
whatever. Oh, okay. But that's what we used it for, was intro.
Yep.
You know, so that you could actually see you talking to the kids, and you showed them how to go in and open Google Classroom and showed them where to look in classwork, showed them what you're showing us. And that's what I used it for, and several of the high school teachers used it for last year when we got thrown into this.
Mm-hmm.
And it was something that the kids could easily see and follow.
So yes, and I love that you brought up bringing videos of showing how to do XYZ if it's a PDF. And Kelly, if you want to do more in your kitchen, ooh, yes, good. All right. So you guys have some great ideas for doing the videos. And so Loom is one way, and I'm also going to show you Flipgrid because I don't want to, Flipgrid is another quick way, and for like Kelly's example of wanting to record her kitchen, I think Flipgrid is going to be a much easier option because we can record and it saves to the cloud and you end up with a link to share. And so have you guys used Flipgrid at all? And it's free also. All right, so if you can just record the smartboard part, you do not have to record the room. But I want to give you guys a couple of quick options depending on what you're looking at. So Flipgrid Shorts are something that I can record a super quick video giving instructions really, really easily. And so it's going to tell me I can't because I'm using my video. So let me stop my video. We'll retry the camera. Okay, I have up to 10 minutes to record my video, and I can pause, I can do all of that. And so with the shorts, they upload automatically, and so I really don't want to record video. And so you can see here, this is a short video on how to find comments. And so this is just a really short 41-second instructional video of something on my screen. However, with Flipgrid, because it is also, I can also use it on my phone. I'm able to use it to like make those videos if I want to record my kitchen, or if I want to go out. I've had people make videos of like how to paint something, and they're out in nature and they're doing a painting demonstration. And so if you're doing something that requires you to be away from your computer, the Flipgrid shorts are going to be a really great way to do that. The other thing that's nice with Flipgrid is if you want to have student voice, and it works with the Google login, or it works with your Microsoft login, and it's free, entirely free. And they just launched something new and cool today, and I don't even, I mean, it launched like as we were starting this meeting, so I don't even know all the cool things it does, but I'll figure it out. So in Flipgrid, some of the things that you can do are you can create topics. And so when I go in here, I can look at a demo one. I have all these topics. So I could do fluency. I can do, say hello. I have a lot of teachers that will read a story on Flipgrid and then ask the students a question, and then they're able to respond. So you can do some really cool things with Flipgrid that is different than Loom. Loom, on the other hand, you can do some amazing things with Loom too. And so they've done a really nice job of, oh my gosh, I'm sorry, you guys. They've done a really nice job of providing you with your basic plan is free. And so when you're looking at your basic plan, you do have some limitations. And so I do want to show you that real quick, because do they give me that? I'm not seeing it. One of the things that you can't do with the free one is you're not able to like see who watches the video. You're not able to capture any of that. And so just so you know, that the free version isn't quite as robust as the paid version. Here we go. Oh, no, it's not. Yeah, so here we can do some more. We got the drawing, we have all of that kind of stuff. It is currently free for educators and students. Many of the companies have done a free version until through the summer into September. So you may be able to use the paid version or the pro version for free for a little bit longer. So here is the, getting going. And so you have two different ways that you can record. You can either have the desktop app, or you can have the Chrome extension. And either way will record great videos. The browser is going to give you the options for how to record anything in your screen. And so when we're looking at this, I can go and I can choose what I want to present. I can go in and save, and once I'm done, and so let me pull up a quick recording here. I can, so you'll see that because I was using my camera, it is turned off. I can, which is nice, change the size of me. And so I do not have to be this big. I can actually make myself disappear, which is awesome. I can also, let's see, I gotta move my screen sharing here. I also have my controls down here where I can start recording, I can cancel my recording, and so this is all within the browser. You'll also notice that I have options of what I'm recording. If I want to record my camera, there we go, it turned on because I turned off my Zoom, so it turned on. I can control that. I can do screen only, or I can do camera only. And so that's going to just bring up my camera. So I'm going to go back to my screen only because that's awesome. I can do my full desktop, or I can do a current tab. It talks about where my audio comes from. And I do encourage you to always look at your advanced options, just because here we can see, you know, here I can include tab audio. And so if I need to record a video, I'm recording a video of a video, or I want to make sure the students hear a sound, you can include tab audio. You'll want to use you can use the photo for screen only. You can see your control menu, and then we have our recording countdown. So I generally look at those advanced options just to make sure I'm happy. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Start Recording. It gives me a nice countdown because I asked for that. And here we go. Now I am recording, and I have the ability to, you know, talk through using Loom for Education. I'm now going to finish the recording by clicking the check. And this is the cool part to me, is it automatically copies my link to my clipboard. I can control who sees it, and so I can say only the people with the link can see my clipboard. It can be public. I have those options. And then I also have the ability to download it. Here I can duplicate it. I can share it. And oh, what's this move to folder, you say? This gives me the ability to move my folder to a different, you know, keep folders and keep it organized. And so this is a demo folder. And now I can say, oh, I did not like that whatsoever. Sorry, you guys. And so at this point, I can copy this link. It is already recorded. I can do everything to it. Because I don't have the paid version, I cannot do the upgrade to Pro, or I cannot call to action or create a custom thumbnail. And then here I can also see my video views, but I'm not going to be able to see who watched it. And so that's another challenge. So when I go back to my videos, they are here in my videos, and I can see where they're at. And so that's pretty awesome. So those are my options for my videos and for using Loom really easily from your toolbar. You can also download the app, but I would also really look at Flipgrid for you guys, and I'll give you guys the resources for all of this so you can come back and explore it a little bit more. To play around, because Flipgrid gives you an option to have student voice. And so when we go in and interact with it that way, you can share your student voice. So you have options. So questions.
She's hurt my head today. It just hit unmute. Oh my goodness. Julie, did you hear that?
No, I did not. What did you say?
You said you're fantastic.
Oh.
No, that we were just having quite the discussion. Flipgrid looks really good, so thank you for those resources. And we've had a couple teachers who've used Flipgrid, some that used Loom, and I think it's definitely going to be something that people can play around with and use. So
some of the
anything else due today?
Nope. You don't
Okay.
have anything else due today. I do want to point out a little bit more with Flipgrid, and like I said, there's new stuff I don't even know. So if I seem surprised, it's because I've just seen it. One of the really nice things that they have is they have your discovery, and they used to call it the disco library, but now it's called discovery. And they have topics that are they're timely topics across the top. Then we have our topic of the day, our wonder of the day. They have partners. Then as we scroll on down, you have collections that have been submitted by teachers and organizations all over. And so you can sort by subject, by audience. Then so if I want to see, you know, what there is for elementary, I can pop this in and, you know, here we have, you know, a would you rather or a vote commercial or a digital breakout box. And I have a lot of like, did I just see a read aloud of Chrysanthemum? And so here we have a read aloud of this book. And so somebody else has already recorded it. And you can add this topic to any one of the other topics that you have. And boom, we're ready to go. Here's our instructions, here's our recording time, here's the media, which has already been uploaded for us. We can control how our students join. And so I've said student email, and so that would mean, and that would be what I would use because your students are all going to have that email address to access Google Classroom anyways. And so you have that. And then if I keep on scrolling down, I can add a few other things. And then boom, I can update my topic. And when I share it, and I access it, let's see what's going to happen to me here. It is going to ask me to log in. And so I will log in as me. And here I can listen to the story and then I can record a response. And so once I click on the record a response, hi, Chrysanthemum makes me feel special. So I recorded a response. I can review it. And so if I wanted to edit it, I can. Now I need to take a selfie, but you guys, I don't want to take a selfie. And so I can select a frame from this video, which I also really don't want to do. Or I can, so I have options there. And then I can add some special effects. And so I can add in all sorts of wild and crazy things. I love the filters. All right, did you go filter? It did not. And then now I upload the video. Here it's going to do my display name. I could add a link. I can also add a title. And once I hit submit, and I will be deleting this, now as a teacher, when I go back and look at this video and I refresh, I'm going to actually have a response there that now I can either go in and I can view. This can be something that I have allow students to come in and comment on and view and you know, record a video back. And so you can really do a number of different things with this. And so it is, I mean, there's a lot here that you can dive into and use with lots of different levels. So I just love Flipgrid for all the things you can do with it. So great question about how long do you have access to this Google Classroom and all these resources? Well, these are yours. And so I will leave them up indefinitely. I mean, I don't plan on taking them down. So you'll have access to these resources as long as you need them. So any other questions or comments before we wrap up for today?